Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a journal make. Now, apologies to Christy in the Netherlands from Everlasting Journals, as some of you may have noticed in an interview that I gave at PM Artist Studio the other day, and I'll put a link to that interview in the box below. I suffered quite a bad injury in February, which meant I couldn't walk for about 2 weeks, and then I was recovering. So everything I was filming got pushed back, and this is one of the projects that was due to be filmed in February, and I'm still playing catch up. Anyway, I digress. I'm back to normal now. I'm 99.9999% healed, and life goes on. So I was actually going to use, I am going to use this digital kit. Now, you know me, it takes quite a bit for me to choose a digital kit to use, and I love this one from Everlasting Journals. As I said, Christy is based in the Netherlands. I will do my best to put a link to her shop in the description box below, although I'm notoriously bad at putting links to Etsy shops. For some reason, it doesn't always seem to work for me. So this is set number 32, and it's called Vintage Paper Collection. And I liked it because I seem to be on this thing lately of liking upholstery fabrics and wallpapers. So I chose this one, and I thought, right, I love this. I photocopied onto the back of each of the pages. I photocopied some tea-dyed paper so that it wasn't a white page, because then this gives me a background to actually create some ephemera to put on there. Now, my aim is to make this a two video make, so both videos will have launched at the same time. Part 2 will be linked below in the description box, and when you see part 2, part 1 will be linked in the description box, just so you know what it is. So I'm going to briefly go through this and show you what I'm doing. There's going to be sections of this I will do off screen, but I will always explain what I'm doing. So let's have a look through the kit. So as I said, I've backed all of these with coffee or tea dye paper, but I absolutely love this. This is a nice bold, probably a slight divergence from what I normally do. And as you can see, all I did is I put a sheet of tea-dyed paper into my photocopier and just photocopied the backs onto all of these. So I like the colours that are involved in this. They've got a really nice palette, and also when you look at it as a fold, you've got a really nice area for a journal, even down there. I mean, each of them makes sense. There's no image that really goes across and distorts. Not sure yet which order these are going to be in the journal. That will come about when we get to the folding and the assembly. Now, when I printed mine out, because I still struggle to do borderless printing on my printer, although sometimes I can do it if I go to the photo setting, but it's not consistent. I've got an old printer. I think I'm struggling, and it's probably time for a new one. So I did trim off the edges of this so they're slightly smaller than the European A4 format that I normally use. As you can see, coffee dye paper or tea dye paper on the back. But I'm really loving these. I printed these last few pages, a couple of duplicates, because I wasn't going to have enough to do the whole journal, and I wanted some extra pages. So these will get dispersed between them all, and I really like these. Again, these give me areas that I can actually embellish. So these are going to be my signature. I am going to add to this a vintage doily, because I think the vintage doily just works beautifully in there. With the size cover I'm doing and what I'm going to do on the cover, it won't matter if it protrudes slightly over the top. We will deal with these later. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these to one side. I will fold them all before you see me assembling it, so you won't have to sit there watching me fold. So that's what those are. Because I had a few moments with my printer, e.g. it went wrong, let's take that off there. What I've done is I accidentally put them in the wrong way up. So the opposite page is printed upside down. So I'm going to take these pieces and I'm going to do a 12 by 12 masterboard from them. So you can see that's where I found it. I am going to cut these out though, because these come as part of it. I'm going to cut these out and back these so those will be ready to go. But I'm going to do a 12 by 12, which will then give me something for pockets and tuck spots and other pieces. And then we'll put those into the journal, and then I might actually just go through my own ephemera to find out whether I've got something else can be put in here. So we will do that on screen with you though. And then for the cover, I've got 2 pieces of craft card in A4 size. Now I chose, I don't know, these are the scraps from cutting it off. I'm probably going to make a fabric flip out of that. I chose this fabric because I think this is really in keeping with the journal. So if I pull back a few of these pages, you can see what I mean. I think they will go beautifully with that. So I'm going to do that as my journal cover. I'm going to use this batting to fabric under the fabric on the front cover, so it's got a slightly cushioned effect on it. And then what I'm going to do before I sew around the edges, I'm going to edge the entire journal with this lace. So it's going to be quite opulent looking, but that's what we're going to do. I will make the panels on screen with you, but I won't sew on screen because that just seems like a really weird thing to do, because all you're seeing is the top of the machine going up and down. But I'll explain it more as we get to it. So basically, I think the first thing I need to do is potentially make the masterboard, because the masterboard can actually be drying while I then work on the other pieces. So let's pull in the pieces we're going to use. Let's get my guillotine. Right. Now the good thing is about journal kits like this is obviously everything is lined up. So it does mean that a lot of cutting is really easy. So I'm just going to take the white edge off this, and then I'm going to come in and slice all the way down the bottoms of the tags and all the way across the top of the tags. So then all I've got to do is go and chop, chop, chop. This then will become part of the stuff that I can use to do collage with. Just take that printed edge off there. So all I'm going to do now is just because I don't want to take a load of time to do this, I'm going to pause you for 2 seconds. I'm going to cut these out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these and cut them down into relevant parts or pieces. You've seen all of them here. I'm going to try and choose between both sides as to which I see best to use. And then I'll bring you back, and then we'll actually start building it as a 12 by 12. So back in 2 seconds, guys. So I've gone through and I've harvested in quite large pieces, because I don't need to cut it any smaller, because the pieces are already collaged and I want to work quite quickly. And that's not because I'm in a hurry to do the project. That's how I would normally do it. So I've done that, and I've also cut out the 3 pieces of ephemera that are already done. Now I'm going to be putting them onto 12 by 12 250 GSM cardstock. It's my normal go-to. If I had any 12 by 12 card pads or paper pads that I didn't like, then I would do it onto those. But to be honest with you, I'm only down to these now because I've run out of 12 by 12 pads. How about that for a business? Now I pulled out 2 because it's my intent to create 1, but I know I'm possibly going to have scraps, and I might then do part of another one, and I'll also use it to back these as well. So I think I just get on with that now and do it with you, as I said. I've also pulled in my small trimmer. This is the brand. I bought it on the internet. I want to say it was either Amazon or eBay. It's a 6-inch trimmer. I use it. It's really handy. I do sometimes use the scissors as well, but that's what I'm using nowadays. The glue stick or brand I'm using is Pritt. You can use any glue stick you think is suitable for you. And I've actually got just bits of scrap magazine page as to glue upon. If I was going to keep it afterwards, I'd probably be a bit more precious about it, but these are just magazine scraps. So I think I want to come in immediately and just start. I love that color combination. Just come in now and actually put these down. Now, some of them, as you saw, were double-sided, so I did have to make a decision as to which side was up and which side was not going to be used. But I'm happy with my choices. So now I can use other scraps of my own. Why are you sticking down? I can use other scraps of my own, obviously. Do excuse my arm if it's in the way. Let's just get a gift card just to smooth that down. I'm also not going to be turning this around for no other reason. I normally do that to keep the orientation in all different directions. Today, I'm not going to do that. I just want to get this done and dusted. Let's find a piece that will fit down there relatively well. I don't mind cutting things down. Actually, that might work. I can't cut that to just below that. Right. So hopefully you're all having a good time here. I'm having fun. As I said, the weather is picking up here in Wales, so we're getting a little bit nicer weather, which is nice. Now that the whole clocks have changed, it does mean that I've got more light in the correct part of the day to be creating, which is lovely, because normally it gets dark really quickly in the winter, as we know, so I only have a very narrow period in which I can film because I use natural light and the sun cuts through. Right, anything that's hanging over like that I will actually deal with my trimmer, my big guillotine, before I actually start cutting it. So let's see if I've got another piece. That will go nicely down. Yes, let's put that up there. So my aim is with this journal, because the backs of the pages are actually tea-dyed paper, coloured, I'm actually going to be able to decorate, because in the last journal I did, which was with the Rachel Bella Craft kit, because, oh, that's stuck all over me, the Bohemian, or the boho one, Bohemian kit it was called, I believe. That one I didn't decorate the pages because I just thought they were far too beautiful to decorate. And this one, I can decorate the backs of the pages and still not fall foul of that. So very happy with that. A little bit of something like that. Maybe if we do a second one, we'll use that bigger piece. I'm okay about using bigger pieces, but there comes a limit when I'm using too many big pieces. Let's put that in there, quite like that colour. So, as I mentioned, I did an interview with PM Artist Studio. They interviewed me as their designer stroke artist of the month focus, and I did it on the 15th of April. It was supposed to be a 45-minute interview. Mariah from PM Artist Studio and I, we know how to chat, and there were so many people involved in asking questions, and I know we missed questions. I know we did. The interview went on for 2 hours, but we had fun. Everyone seemed to love it. I've had nothing but nice comments afterwards, which is really nice, because when you do something like that, and it's live, I didn't know ahead of time what the questions were going to be. I'm not sure Mariah knew what the questions were going to be either, because we tried to take the questions from the live chat, and some people had emailed in questions and stuff like that. So, but I didn't know any of the questions, which was lovely, because I had to think on my feet. Something I can do, thank goodness. Right. Because I've got, oh, there you go, I've got a strip of that, which will go right down there. So yes, it was a lovely, lovely interview. So you want to know a bit more about me, about my point of view, my style, my art, my journey, my creative journey. That's the place to it. As I said, the link to it will be in the description box below. And if you want to know more about my journey as a professional dancer, I'll put a link to that as well, because on 2 days before the interview, I actually did a coffee with Ceri, which is something I created. And in that coffee with Ceri, I discussed my journey starting as a dancer at 25 years old. So I'll also put a link to that. So it's sort of, lots of people ask me for things, and when appropriate, I try to put them in. And that was just the right time to do that, because anyone then asking me in the interview about my dance career, I could just direct them there, because once I get on a topic, I can be on that topic for a long time. That's going to be just, I think that's just the right height. That's absolutely perfect. Let's put that there. yeah, I think I'm going to have no problem getting 2 12 by 12s out of this, which is good, because then I can use more of the backgrounds from the kit. Not sure how much I'm going to be decorating the individual pieces of ephemera. That, I'm sorry to say, will be dictated by time, but I will decorate them, but how many I'll be able to decorate on screen, that I'm unsure of. Right, looking for pieces that might, I've got other colours than pink. There you go. Let's chop that off there. I'll chop this in half. I might be able to do, there you go, that bothers me not. And as you know, my point of view of some of the digitals that are out there, they're absolutely stunning and don't actually need any more decoration from me because they're so beautiful to start with. So a lot of the time, if I make a masterboard and the masterboard is beautiful when it's cut up, then I won't do any more to it. Does that look straight? Kind of doesn't look straight. Maybe it's my cutting. I wouldn't be at all surprised. That's not going to go down there. Oh, here's a piece. What's this piece do? Yes, maybe take that off there. Keeping all my little square pieces, obviously, because you never know when you're going to have that last little bit that you're going to have to put together. And there, I thought I had another strip somewhere. Did I not? I have this. I chop this down about there. Hopefully I've got it in the right place. Near enough. Let's trim top and bottom. Sorry guys, I know I'm off screen here, but I'm sure you've seen a guillotine work before. I'll just chop that trim down to be that size, which is fine, and I can just trim off the edges once the whole thing is dry. I always try to do my masterboards in advance of cutting them and letting them dry enough so that I don't end up with the problem that as I'm cutting, the paper is still soft with the glue. And what that means is I don't actually get a good clean cut. I sometimes get a problem where the paper will just separate or tear. Right, so I just need one piece down. I don't want to use that. I'd like something quite... Is that too much, do you think? That looks too much. I wonder if I trim this down there and possibly down there. Or is that the flower is meant to be there? Give me a second. I just need to chop this down a bit. Right. I think I'd rather keep that. And I need to fill that gap. Now, where's that little square gone? I know I had a little square somewhere. Let's just use that one to fill in the gap. A little bit of something in there. Let's put it up reasonably high so it doesn't look like it's a mistake. It's peeking out at the top. And put this one down. We'll definitely have enough pieces of this printed paper left to do another 12 by 12, I'm sure. Now, I print all my digitals on a presentation paper. That's what I know it as, and that's just slightly heavier than a photocopy paper, and it's a very white paper. So right, that's one done. Let's move that to one side. Let's bring in the other 12 by 12. Now I'm just going to do the same process again and just stick stuff down, making sense. And why do I keep saying That's another bad habit of mine. Now I am going to cut this or these 12 by 12s looking at them, because a lot of the imagery on here is quite large pieces, and I don't really need to slice them up unless I have to, because that in itself could just be one big tag. So it seems pointless me trying to do double duty on things. If I go up, if I go down, let's put it in this corner instead. I cannot believe we're part of the way through April already. I don't know about you guys, but where the heck is it going? I know I'm beginning to sound like an old man saying, where's the time flying? Where's it all going? But really, where is it going? I can't believe April, for goodness sake. And we'll be at May before I know it. Right. I kind of need to make sure things join up slightly, because I don't think I'm going to have here enough to complete the entire 12 by 12, unless I'm very sneaky, of course. And I could always use the tags like these ones. I could use these on here as well. If I'm close to filling the 12 by 12, then I might do that, but I'm unsure about that. I'll put that up there. Worst case scenario, I can cut the pieces at a standalone on here and just use them as big journal cards. So I wanted to put something like that across there. I'm okay with that. I do know some of you have been asking, would I do a journal that has more than one signature? Yes, I will be at some point in the future. I just haven't got around to doing it yet. Also, you know, I sometimes gut books to actually use the cover, and I have said I will do some of that sort of work as well. Maybe just take that top bit off. I will make journals out of that as well. Oh, it was cut perfectly. That doesn't always happen, people. I can absolutely assure you. So yeah, those will be in the future, along with things like hidden spines, and I've been asked whether I'd make like a Midori style cover for traveler's notebook style journals or planners. Yes, I will do them, but the list of videos to make seems to be an ever-growing thing, to be honest with you. I don't put on there, I don't want to cover up the bird's head. Oh, you're just a bit small, aren't you? I'll chop that off. Have I done that right? I'll pop that down there. And paper everywhere now. I don't mind this being on the side and not on the, sorry, in the horizontal and not the vertical. I also have a strip of this that can come in here to cover that as well. Just about there. I'm not worried that I'm being too inaccurate with my cutting, because I know that I'm going to have to trim edges off stuff anyway. That's a drawer for masterboard. You don't know what you're going to get until you got it. Right, where am I up to? I don't have a huge amount of pieces left. I'd rather not have that next to that. I can put that somewhere else. That'll do. I think what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get all of the construction stuff done in this first video, or at least show you how it's going to be done, and then work my way through afterwards by assembling it in the meantime, and then in video 2 trying to do the cutting and the decorating. That I think will work, so if you bear with me on that one. Strip down there, I've got a strip which works fine for me. This is the reason why you keep all of your offcuts. Right, we've got this section here. Hopefully I've been in shot for all of this. Okay, I'm thinking if I use these by just cutting the top off, I pretty much am just making them into more papers. Because it would be handy if I could do another 12 by 12. Right, there you go. So, right, that's that. So that should go over there. Let's put this one in next. I know it seems a little bit redundant to cut a tag up to make a master board to make a new tag, but I will have options if I make a 12 by 12, whereas if I stick with the ephemera, why doesn't that look straight? It probably is, and it's probably just my varifocal glasses. Right, I need to come down a bit as well. And this glue sticks, it sticks, doesn't it? Right. I need a little something. It can't be this because that's too samey. Let's try and put that down there. As I said, I don't mind if I don't get the whole thing done, but if I can get the majority of it done, all the better. Well, it's just shy of that. I wonder if I do that, that will make life a lot easier. Now I could always come in and add scraps of my own, so if I'm very close to finishing the whole 12 by 12, I can always come in and add some spare bits out of my scrap box. Right, so I've got this, and I do have pieces, and I do have parts. Now, I reckon if I cut that down, that means that that will go up there. Oh, we'll cut it too short, narrow. I'll put it on there. I swear something's not right with this. My eyes are making me think everything is cut on the angle, which hopefully it's not. Or I've added one of the pieces at an angle and not realised it. Just pop that in there. Right, so I've got these pieces left. I've got this one as well. Right. Almost there, down just little tiny pieces here. If I do it that way, it's likely to be far enough away from there, not for it to visually be noticed that it's off the same piece, should we say. Right, a few little strips left. Right, I don't mind this because this is the piece that's on there. So that can come down. I think if I slip that down there, that's going to be absolutely perfect. And all that's left is that, and that, and that. I think that's pretty good going. I think, right, what I'm going to do is put these to one side, let them fully dry. I'm going to stop for 2 seconds to clean up the decks, and then we'll take a look at getting the cover sorted out. So, onto the cover. Right, I've got 2 A4 pieces of cardstock here. A4 in here in Britain and Europe. You're probably working letter size in America, which I think is 11 by 8.5 inches. Ours are different in dimension. My intent is I want to have the same fabric on both the inside and the outside of this. I'm going to cover each piece of card with the fabric, and then I'm going to put them both together with the lace between the join, and then I'm going to sew it in my sewing machine to catch that in place. So let's just start by doing a bit of prep work here. Now this is, it's sort of the inside of an old quilt, to be honest, this, so it's not hugely padded. I could have gone through and got some specific wadding or backing and made it thicker, but I just want to give it the illusion that it's padded. I don't need it to be really soft and squishy. I could also come in here with my quilter's ruler and rotary blade and cut this instead of cutting it as I'm doing here, probably very badly. But you'll have to understand, I'm trying to do this on screen, so. Right, line that up there. And unlike fabric, I can't really cut this and tear it. I wish I'd have my sewing scissors out, to be honest. Where are my sewing scissors? Bear with me. I mean, seriously, I've got the right tools for the job and I'm not using them. Right. You should cut a lot easier because I only ever use for fabric. That's what we're talking about. If I wasn't filming, I would be using my rotary cutter for this. I like my rotary cutter, but to use my rotary cutter correctly, I need to be above it. And to be honest, above this currently is my iPad. So that doesn't make it too easy, does it? Now, I don't need this any larger than the card I'm putting it onto. And in fact, possibly being ever so fractionally smaller is also a benefit so that I don't have to wrap it around when I wrap the fabric around. And I'm only putting padding on the outside cover, not the inside cover. Just cut straight up there. Now I could have just put a marker on this and drawn around one of my rulers to actually make it the right size. These will go back in the drawer because you never know when I'm going to use scraps like that. So my aim is to have this so it pretty much sits on there without protruding too much over any of the edges. And I think I'm okay. That little bit needs to come off there. And I think I can possibly live with a little bit that's the other side. Now I'm going to use Fabri-Tac for obvious reasons. It's fabric. I don't need too much on here as everything is going to be sewn anyway. I did contemplate coming through and doing a quilted cover, but that's quite tricky to do if I wanted to film it. And if I was doing a quilted cover, I know you'd all be saying, oh, Ceri, can you show us how to do it? It's really hard to film because I've only got an overhead camera. I'm just putting enough on here to hold this in place. There is no right way or wrong way. I'm just putting this on as it is and trying to line it up the best I can without any tucks or folds or anything like that. So there is a little bit of stretch in this backing, which I can use to my advantage to pull it as far over as I can get it. It's not going to be visible if I don't do it, but it's me being a perfectionist. Let's just leave it at that. And what I want to do is pick it up. This edge now, because it's glued down, will be a lot easier for me to just come in and trim off. Some of you are probably going to say, well, why didn't I just stick the card to the center of the whole piece and trim around it? I could have done. I absolutely could have done. Right, so that's laying quite nicely on there. Now I'm going to move myself on and do the inside before I put the fabric on top of this one. So this will be the inside piece. Now, I don't mind which way these fit on here, although when it comes to the final cover, of course, it's going to be something like that, or it's going to be something like that. I prefer this to be the cover if this is evenly spaced, but I won't know that until I've actually put it down. So I'm going to come in, and luckily enough, I can see the lines through this, so I can actually line this up wherever I want. And I think, is that the one I wanted? I think if I do it to this edge here, I'm just going to get a pencil mark and put a pencil mark on there just to remind me where it is. That's not going to be seen anyway. So I'm going to come in, sort of kind of on the edges, just to hold it in place for me. Although this is going to be folded over, so I'm not worried about anything coming undone. I'm just going to smooth it out with my store card, and then it won't bleed through. And then putting it on there in line with that, and giving it a good smooth out. So while that's thinking about itself, we'll trim that in a minute. I'm going to now do exactly the same thing on here, but I'm going to put this fabric onto there, onto this surface. So again, flip this over, and likewise we can see where the lines are. I think I liked that. Right, now I've done it once, I know where I'm going to this line. So what I want to do is I want to put fabric on Fabri-Tac on here. Fabri-Tac, I suppose you could use a different type of glue. It's just that I don't see the point of using a different type of glue if Fabri-Tac is the right one to use. And I have it here. I think my Fabri-Tac's getting a little bit old. I'm just putting a few dots here and there, just to be able to anchor it down. I don't mind if it moves around in the final piece. Flip this over, pop it down, press it out. So let's put the lid on this for a second because we won't need it for a moment. Let's bring in the previous piece. Now I'm going to need about 1 inch or ½ inch to flip over. I would rather have more than less, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to eyeball what I'm doing, and the strips I cut off I will keep because you never know, I might use them in the journal. I might cut them into thinner strips to be tag toppers. That's pretty much all right as it is, to be honest, but just trim this frayed edge off. I'm not going to be putting book corners on this because I've got lace going all the way around, so it'd be it would be near impossible to put book corners on something that's got lace around the edges. So I need to make sure that my corners are reasonably neat, even though a lot of it will be masked by the lace. I'm making a pig's ear of this. I think it's because I'm rushing. I feel like I'm rushing, and that's because I'm always really wondering about the constraints of time. Now, these corners here, I'm going to actually cut across the corner, but I'm leaving a gap. As you can see, there's a gap here, so I'm not cutting directly up against the corner of it, and that's because I want to be able to make sure all of the cardboard is covered. Or if you were using an envelope coverage, whichever you're doing. So I'm going to be doing a mitered corner is what I'm trying to get to. So my aim is to fold this up so it covers that corner before I fold the corners in. So I'm going to just do one of these corners for you, just so you can see what I mean. So I'm going to put some glue down. String. I'm going to press it over so it's glued in place. May take a second or two. It doesn't help I've got glue on my fingers. Okay, then when I come in, I'm going to put a line of Fabri-Tac. I need to buy more Fabri-Tac, I think. All my Fabri-Tac is getting old. So just putting a line of it down there, also putting a little bit in the other corner, so the other corner can be folded over as well. And then when I actually lift this up, making sure I've got that corner tucked in, I should then have good coverage for my corner. All right, just smooth this down so that I squish the glue out, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I pull this up to the camera, as you can see, I folded that little piece of fabric over the corner and then mitered the corner over the top of it. And what that means is when this piece is pulled up, that corner from the outside will be fully covered. There are other ways to do it. Don't think that's the only way it can be done. Just happens to be the way that makes most sense to me, to be honest with you. So that's the dot for that one. Again, come across here. That side's already folded up, which is fine. I'm just going to tuck this piece up in this corner. So as you can see, I now have a corner where it's covered on the inside, but it's equally as covered on the outside. Depending on how good you are, you can get a really sharp corner to it. It doesn't bother me because I've got lace going over that as well, or sandwich between it. So a little bit along here. Now, when I come to do the second one, it's going to be exactly the same process. Although obviously the backing piece is going to be under the fabric. So I'm going to be, I'll quickly show you in a minute, but I'm not going to do the whole gluing process for you again, because you will have seen it once. So that's going to be one of those things where I pause the video. In hindsight, probably I should have done that one first. It's one thing about fabric, their strings go everywhere. Get off my fingers. Can you see me? I memorize. So the Fabri-Tac is basically just there to hold everything in place while I'm working. The sewing is what's going to actually hold it in place when it's done. So there you go. So that gives me all of my, that's never going to be seen. This is what's going to be seen. I did iron my fabric before I started, but now I've got a crease down. I don't know where the crease came from. Now I'm going to do exactly the same here. I'm going to, because this is stuck down already, I already am going to trim around the edge. Then I'm going to do exactly the same process as this on the edges of here. So bear with me. I'm going to pause you for 2 seconds, get this done and come back. So that's all done. Both of them now have fabric on them, held in place. This one is the one that's slightly padded. I can feel it under my fingers, so I have no problem with that. Now my next stage is I want to put this around the edge. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to sew it so that I can come in along the edges. Now the trouble is that because of the thickness, it's going to be really hard to turn a corner. So I'm going to have to put this in as individual pieces. Now, do I want it on top and bottom or just down the sides? Maybe I want it just down the sides. So let me just tidy this piece up here. Not the sides, just on the edges. I mean, so I think it might be easier because if it was a thinner fabric, thinner lace, and less ornate, then I probably wouldn't have a trouble. Because if you see, I've got to try and turn a corner. So if I turn a corner, I'm going to have this happen. But if I just go down the outside edges, I suppose that is a better idea. So, sorry, change of plan. But not a problem that it's a change of plan. Keep this because I'll probably use that in my fabric flip. So my intent now is I'm going to come down here with a line of Fabri-Tac. Just so that when I'm sewing, this doesn't actually move around. I'm not concerned about an up and a down or a right way or a wrong way with this, because I don't know that there actually is a right and a wrong way with this. Just there to, I'm just tacking it down with the glue basically. Now, because I've got this lace edge, I will not be doing a closure because the closure will obviously interfere with the lace. Now, so this one will then go on top of that. So just need to think about, actually, as I can see, my pattern will line up here, which is really good. So I've got that in the correct orientation. Let's just come in, line of glue. So this is one of the things you won't see until, you won't see finished until video number 2. That being because I need to actually let this glue dry before I come in and actually sew it. So let's just flip that over. Oops. Nice if I didn't move it around. Line that up, making sure it's lined up top and bottom, edge and edge. Any pieces like this I can obviously trim off should I wish. Make sure that's enclosed in there. There you go. That's that pressed down. I think that'll be good. All right, just make sure everything is evenly lined up. Not that it has to be perfect, but I'd like things not to fall to pieces. So this now is going to sit for a little while just to let it think about itself and to let it dry up enough so that I'm not going to do damage to my sewing machine when I sew it. So all of my pages have now been folded. I think I'm going to use this one as the outside page. And what I've done is, besides folding them all, I had several that were this pattern, and I intentionally printed that pattern. So I folded them in opposite ways. So then what I'll have is I'll have a full spread of that pattern and a full spread of that. And there was another one I did that with as well. So throughout the book, throughout the journal, I'm going to have some breathing space, should we say. So let's put that up by there, that up by there. So I just need to think about what needs to be where. I'd quite like to introduce that. Now, if I need to fold them the other way around, I can fold them the other way around. So Ceri did that, could easily do that to give myself a coffee-dyed spread. Actually, I might do that anyway. Now, this one I think I'm going to put in the middle of my journal. So only because that way the urn isn't cut directly in half. So I've got that. That goes quite well there. Let's drop one of these double pages in. Quite like that. Don't mind that there. I think I want to put another one of those there. What one is this? Oh, that's that one. Let's pop that in there. And the pink and blue will go quite nice together. I'm going to do a flip through in a second, guys. So I know I'm slightly off screen. Pop those in there and pop this into the middle. And then fold that over. Now, I don't mind if it sticks out at the edge because the lace is going to be covering it. I then now need to find a place for the doily. And what I've done is, because I first intended to have this lace top and bottom, now this is going to be sticking out top and bottom, I will just trim it. So I need to find a place where I think that will look nice. And I think I quite like it. Actually not on there, because I intend putting ephemera on there, don't I? There's that other double page gone here. I think this is where I want this. So I'll do any trimming after it's all been sewn together. I mean, that little bit top and bottom probably isn't going to bother me anyway. Right, so I think that in there is going to look lovely. So this is kind of a flip through of where we're going to be. Do I like that next to that? So I'm having an indecisive moment. I'd quite like that in there, that back to there, and that onto there. That feels better. That, I don't know why, I quite like the contrast between the two of those, although that colour is carried across. I've got glue stuck all over my fingers. My fingers look filthy. Do apologise. Right, and I've got fabric flips to go on these. Okay, and remember, the aim of a journal is to be written on. So even though we've got pages like this and this, we still have lots of writing space. And something like this that wouldn't be written on, it's a perfect place to put ephemera, which will then carry the theme from the other pages through. I think that's good. Let's pick that up. Right, let's just put a clip on this so that I don't forget where things are. Okay, I think I'm going to say that is the end of video 1, to be honest with you. Now, in between times of you not being here and me being somewhere else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, once this is dry, I'm going to sew around the edges of here. I'm going to fold it, and then I'm going to sew in my signature, and I'm going to be using a basic, my version of the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. You've seen it umpteen times before in other videos of mine, so I'm not worried that you need to see it again. I mean, you can easily refer to one of my other journal making things like that. I'm also going to trim the edges of here once it's sewn in, so the journal will be one piece. Then what we're going to do after that is, when I come back, we're going to work with the 12 by 12s, cut them up into ephemera, put them into here. I might decorate them, although to be honest with you, when these are cut, I probably will not need to decorate them unless there's a crying need for a label or a sticker or something on them. And then we'll see where we get. So thank you guys. I will see you in part 2.